So Val has asked me to show you how to create a spreadsheet and get that into as a point into ArcGIS Online. And then my usual method for getting photographs into ArcGIS Online isn't working for me. So I'll do my best to show you what I can. I will get a photograph onto a map, and I'll show you how that works. And we'll talk about some way that ArcGIS Online is set up has changed since I last did it. So anyway, I'll talk about that when I get to that. And then I'm going to show you how to find and add layers from the main Office of GIS data catalog, which is just this treasure trove of GIS layers that you can add to a map. Does that all sound good?
Great.
All right. Okay, so to begin, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to start with, is everybody seeing my screen?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start in Google Docs, and I presume that all or most of you have access, well, I know you all have access to Google Docs one way or another. But you can really do this with any spreadsheet program. But this is simple and free, and so I'm going to start with Google Sheets. So I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. And I'm going to zoom in as soon as it's ready. And it would be great if you all follow along with me. So I have my GPS status app up and running, and I took a photograph of myself at my desk a minute ago. So, so my point is going to be right here. And it's important to set up your spreadsheet in a way that that makes sense for the data that you're creating. So this is Tora GPS spreadsheet. So first of all, one thing that's important is that you want to distinguish latitude and longitude and make a column for each. So you're going to have them in separate columns. And then any other, what we call attributes, any other things that you might want. So you might have a type field or column, you might have a name column. So for instance, if your kids are looking at forest history, right, forestry history, and you go on a field trip and you visit a bunch of historical sites, you might have a latitude and longitude for each of those historical sites, and some of the sites might pertain to so for instance, historical sites in Machias right now, this is not related to forestry, but we have historical sites related to, actually it is related now that I think about it, related to the timber industry and wood processing in Machias, right? So that might be, lumber mill type, and then the name of the mill at the site that we're talking about. In my case, the type will be office, because that's where I am, and the name will be Tora Johnson, so it's my office. And then I can get my latitude and longitude right off of, it'll get it back, there we go, right off of GPS status here. And not every app will label it. Sometimes it'll be labeled X or Y. If you do get X and Y, remember that longitude is X. Longitude is X. And if you flip that around, what'll happen is you'll bring the layer in the points into ArcGIS Online, and you'll be in South America somewhere if you have it reversed. Just one of my students did it just yesterday. She's like, I don't understand, all my points are in South America. And I said, think about what you just did. Oh yeah. So my latitude is 44 degrees and it's point, and I'm going to write all of these numbers. It seems like an excessive number of numbers, but 1 degree is 60 miles of latitude in the north-south direction, 60 nautical miles. It's more like 65 for statute miles. So 1 degree is really, really big, right? And so you need to have lots of decimal places to be really specific about where you are. So 708,490. And then for longitude, the number is 67 and some numbers, but I'm going to add a negative sign because we are to the west of the prime meridian, and so our longitude is negative. So all of your longitudes will be negative, and your GPS or your app won't necessarily say negative, it'll say west, but that implies negative, and that's how ArcGIS Online will read it.
Does yours say negative? This one says negative.
Yeah, mine does.
Yeah.
Oh, does yours say negative?
Yeah.
That is really good. That's really nice. That's the iOS version?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's my location. So now I have this point, and I can have any number of points. Well, not any number. I think you're limited to something like 1,000 or 5,000. I forget how many, but a lot of points. You can have a lot of points. And in a minute, I'll show you some other examples of this. And so now I have my table. A couple of little hints. Don't make these names of your fields long and busy. In fact, it's better if it's one word or maybe with, an underscore and, some information. Keep them very short and simple. Otherwise, they'll be truncated. If you want to really dig into ArcGIS Online, you can change the alias or what the name of that column name is in the map, but for now it's best to keep it simple. And also make sure there are no extra spaces with the numbers. It doesn't matter, you can have all the spaces you want in these attribute cells, the cells that have just information about the point, but no extra spaces and no extra rows. So if I were to go like this, that would be really confusing to ArcGIS Online. I don't want any extra rows, even if it makes my spreadsheet look nicer. And then,
Hold on, I get a question.
Yeah.
Quick question, if you're making a data sheet with a student and there's one thing missing, like that type wouldn't be missing, but if for one of your data points type wasn't there, do you put an NA or a 0 value?
Yeah, so here, because this will be a text field, you can just put NA or just leave it blank. Yeah, the one thing you can't be missing is the latitude and longitude. You need to have, the coordinate pair in order for it to be a point. Yeah, incidentally, it's also possible, you can also write addresses, street addresses, and format them just sort of normally. And you can format them either all in one cell where, 35 Fremont Street, Machias, Maine, can all be in one cell, or, a column for the street address, a column for the town, a column for the state, etc. And ArcGIS Online will read those too, just like coordinates. So that's a possibility as well. Any other questions about the spreadsheet? I have one more thing to mention, and that is, was there one? I thought I couldn't tell if I heard something.
Nope, I think we're...
Okay, one more thing I should mention is that it's a really good idea to keep an eye on your kids while they're doing it, and to, either select kids who are gonna, be conscientious about writing all the numbers, and be neat and have recognizable numbers. It's a good idea to create a spreadsheet, a data sheet ahead of time with lines on it so that the kids can write in an organized way, so that when they come into the classroom to enter their data, it's organized. The younger kids, so elementary and to some degree, depending on the maturity of the kids in middle school, that task can be pretty tough. They're, especially if it's cold out, honestly, and so that can devolve. So just be aware of that and keep an eye, and make sure they're writing all the digits, and maybe work into their little workflow rechecking. They may find, the other thing is when they're collecting, so when you got your GPS there and it's common for the kids to sort of bend over the unit, whatever it is they're using, whether it's their phone or their a real regular GPS unit. And if they do that, they're blocking satellites with their body, so that will sort of interfere. And so tell them to, sometimes, especially if it's having trouble getting a lock, I'll have them hold it up over their head like the Statue of Liberty, and that will help get a lock. But while they're writing the points, the numbers down, they might be changing a little bit, and that's okay. They can just sort of pick one, and that's all right. But they should not be moving around while they're writing the numbers down. They need to be standing still. Okay, so now that we have a spreadsheet, now I'm going to download it. It is possible to publish it as a CSV online and use it that way, but I'm just going to download. So File, Download As, and the simplest way is comma separated values. And I will download that to my classroom. I don't need this extra stuff here. And so now I have this CSV file. If I open it, I think Excel will probably open, or Numbers. You can see what it looks like, and it's got my latitude and longitude. So it's ready to go.
Pretty fancy.
Pretty fancy.
Get all that data in there.
That's right. So now to put my points on my map, I can go to ArcGIS Online. Incidentally, you can do this whether or not you're signed in. I will sign in because of the things I want to do later. And then once you're signed in, mine will probably looks a little different from yours, but I'm going to go to Map.
Have more credits.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot more credits. I don't really use them, honestly, all that much. So now I can zoom to where I am, but I don't actually have to, as you'll see. What I need to do next is, and I'm going to make this bigger so that you can definitely see it. Oops, maybe that's too big. There we go. I'm going to click this Add Layer, from File. And I'm going to click Choose File. And I'm going to go looking for, there's my spreadsheet right there, Tora GPS CSV, and I'll click Open. And now that it recognizes it, so there's the name right there, so it's uploaded. Oops, yeah, I didn't mean to click it again. Oh, sorry, hang on, I shouldn't have clicked it. Okay. Okay, so now it's recognized it. I'll say Import Layer, and it will think about it. And if it recognizes for sure latitude and longitude, it won't even ask me, are you, where is this? But it looks like it has, so it's got a point there. I can't tell where the point is because it zoomed way in on that base map. But of course I can change, I can click this options button and change the color, make it bigger. I'll make a cute little shape. There's probably some sort of adorable people, places. Let's see, there, that looks like, that doesn't look like UMM, but it's close enough, and I'll make it bigger. I know you guys played with map notes, so you're familiar with some of this. So there's a little me. And now I'm zoomed in, there we go. And I'll click OK and done. And so there's my point. Let me swap my base map and hopefully we'll see campus. Sure enough, that's right outside my office window right there. And so that's where I am. Now, one thing, oh, and I totally spaced this out. So one thing that I forgot to do, sorry?
I just checked, did you guys all get it on? Did everyone get their points onto there?
Mine didn't work.
It didn't work?
Mine comes up with this screen. Yeah, mine did too. Right there, right there's my right on top. How did you and then I missed it.
You see this?
Let's see.
It says add CSV layer, locate features by coordinates.
I can't see it because you're too small. If you share your, let's see, if I stop sharing, hang on. Can you put it back up? There we go. Okay. Yes. So, yep. Can you hold that back up and I'll read it. Unfortunately, it didn't. I don't know why yours didn't work and mine did, but so locate features by coordinates, and then you select the latitude field and then choose latitude, and longitude field and choose longitude.
Choose.
It says,
I wonder if
Okay.
it's open.
Maybe I like this one.
Let me see. I might be able to make that happen. I'm going to try and reproduce it. I'm also going to show you what it looks like to add a photograph.
No, because I don't know on that map. So I don't know how to
Val?
Hold on, Tora.
so Tora's trying to get your attention.
So I'm going to try and reproduce that problem. It's not really a problem, but I'm going to try and reproduce it and show you that. I'm also going to show you how to add a photograph address into it. So I'm going to make a new field. I forgot to do this before. Sorry. This is what I get for putting together. And I'm going to look for a photo on the web. So I'm going to go to the UMM website and look for.
Right, so we're adding a photo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna add a photo by that's a beautiful photo. I'm gonna open this image, right-clicked on it and choose open image in a new tab. And so I've got this address of this photo right up here, and I'm gonna copy it. And when I go to my my table, I'm going to paste that. I'm going to paste that link right into that photo field. Okay, and notice too that I now have changed the names of these fields, lat DD and lon DD instead of latitude and longitude. Hopefully that will fool ArcGIS Online into asking me which field is latitude and which field is longitude. Actually, it might even recognize that. So maybe what I'll do is I'll call it DD lat, and that stands for decimal degrees, and DD lon. So this should prompt it to ask me. So I'll download it again.
She's showing you what happens if that thing happens, what you need to do.
That's right. So I'm going to download it again, and hopefully that will make ArcGIS say, "What the heck, Tora?" I'm going to remove this layer that I made. Okay, so now I'm going to go through that process again. Add layer from file. Choose that file, and this time I'm going to choose the one, oh, I chose the wrong type. Hopefully this will, let's see. Yep, no. Sorry, I downloaded the wrong type. File, download as.
Even GIS people have been doing it for 20 years.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
We're all in the same place.
Is that what you have on your screen?
CSV. There we go. Open and import layer. Okay, good. Okay,
All right, so this came up, right, for a bunch of you?
so
Yeah.
I prompted it, and so notice that you can locate features by coordinates or addresses. Remember, I said you could use addresses, so you could go to address and give it fields like address, state, city, and so forth. But we're using coordinates. So I'm going to choose that option. And then right here where it says location fields, it's saying, well, which fields, which columns do I use for location? When I click this, I can choose. And this is my latitude field, so I'll choose latitude. This is my longitude field, so I'll choose longitude. Most likely what happened is you might have had a space, or you might have called it, you know, GPS latitude or something like that. And that prompted it to, it's finicky and didn't know that that was your latitude and that was your longitude. And now I'll click add layer and the same thing happens. Okay, and I can click options here and change the symbol just like I did before to a shape. This time I'll choose
Radioactive.
radioactive. That's right. Perfect. And go away. There we go. Click OK. And I'll have to zoom out a little bit. And OK. And done. Didn't get my, I don't know why it's not showing my radioactive symbol. Maybe it doesn't like it. But I can change my symbol by clicking this little icon right here with the shapes. So that little icon right there with the shapes, I can click that. If it doesn't like my symbol, options.
Mine did.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I zoomed in too much.
That's it. Actually, I was sitting right there.
Mhm.
Took it. That's where my desk is. Right
There we go.
up there.
Disaster. I'll use a disaster symbol, or anyway, so you have a lot of different symbols. People, places.
But the outdoor recreation one might be
Yeah.
useful, right?
What?
The outdoor recreation symbol.
Yes. Yeah. Very useful. Outdoor recreation. I'm indoors. So they're very cute. And I'll click OK and OK. Now, and done. So there's my little schoolhouse symbol. And notice here that I can click more info and it will open the picture. I can also, and I can also set up, and again, if this is TMI, this is too much information, just zone out, hum to yourself for a minute. But,
No, it's good. People are in. We're in.
so, but I can make the photo appear in this little spot right here.
Yeah, yeah. How do you do that?
So these three little dots, if I zoom in right here, those 3 little dots give you lots of extra choices. And look, I can configure my pop-up. And when I configure my pop-up, I get all these choices. And one of them down here is pop-up media. and I can say image, and I can make the image title be the name, and the URL refers to the address, and I can click photo because that's where the address is. And I can even make a link to the photo there, like that. So I've selected those, and I'll click OK and OK. Now let me zoom out so you can see the full effect. So now when I click on that image, you get the photo. I mean, on the link, on the point, you get the photo.
Can you do it if it's already uploaded to your computer, like a personal picture?
You can. So that's what I was trying to do and failed to do before. So it used to be that you can, so if I go to my content, open link in new tab.
Tora's the only person I know that has more tabs open than me all the time.
So I'm on my content, and I have a lot of content here, but maybe I'll make a new folder and I'll call it Peacock. Okay, so I have a folder and I can add an image. This is what I was trying to do. I can add an image. Here's the selfie that I took of myself.
For you with your photo, that one that you.
Yeah, so I just took a selfie just before we got online here together.
Go
and,
to.
And I have a.
I don't know.
Okay, go to content. So
Yep.
you're find the content tab. Remember.
Get that. Yeah.
No, so go to that home. Home.
Okay.
That's all the way on the
Yeah.
left. It's going to bring you that bar up if you're in your map maker. And you find the content. And then add item.
Tora, can you take it back to the beginning with that one?
I absolutely can. Yep. So.
Tora's going to take it back.
Yep. So here I am at my content, right?
Yeah.
And I can make a new folder right here. So if you're going to have more than one photo, you might want a new folder. So I made a new folder. I clicked that. I called my folder Peacock for obvious reasons. Then my folder was open and empty, and I clicked add item right here from my computer. And I chose my photo and uploaded it. Once I got here, I gave it a title. I called it Tora, and I gave it a tag. I'll actually add it. And it's telling me there's already one. And then I clicked upload, right? And so there's my photo.
Is everyone able to do that? Upload a photo into there?
Now that I have the photo on the desktop, yes. I've got the image right here.
Okay.
There's my photo. I guess I'm not sure that how do I add?
So pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'm going to try it in my spreadsheet. Well, actually, so before I forget, once your photo is there, you can click on it and you'll see it get this little special page. So go ahead and do this. You need to share it for it to be accessible to other people. So I'm going to click this share button right here, and I'm going to make it accessible to everyone. This is true of all your maps, everything that you make. If you want people outside of just your organization to see it, you need to find the share button wherever it is and make it accessible to everyone you want to see it. And then I'll click OK. So now it's accessible. Down here, there is a link to it. I can click this view button and it will open the link for me. And there's my photo. It has, so one of the problems I see that it's having, I was not able to get it to come up in a map for myself, and it's because it has something called a security token. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm going to try using this link, but so we'll see if it works. I'm going to paste that instead in here. The big long link. And I'll download as comma separated value. We'll try it again. So while I'm doing this, I want to, I don't know if Val has talked to you all at all about heuristic problem solving. Have you mentioned any of that, or are you gonna?
I just mentioned a bit about how this is all about problem solving, really. But
Yeah.
we need to work together to do it.
What
But
you're
not.
observing, so like normal people, normal college professors say, well, I'll solve this problem and I'll let you know when I have the solution. I don't do that. And that's because it would be lying to you and pretending as though this sort of thing never happens. This sort of thing happens all the time. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It means that it's a different kind of learning experience and a different kind of activity. So, and it's the sort of thing that you do all the time, but for some reason people are afraid to do with computers. So for example, I think I probably, you know, if you're making a meal and you thought you had a certain ingredient in your house, and it turns out you don't just not ever eat again, right? Or just give up on ever having dinner. You find a different way of making that meal, whether that's, oh, look, there's a pizza. We're talking about food. I'll use pizza for my symbol. You find another way. And so ultimately that's what is required with, I don't know why it won't ever give me my pizza. Oh, there's my pizza. That's what is required with this, this sort of thing. So there's my image. And let's see if we can make the image appear. Configure pop-up and scroll down. Pop-up media, add an image and name. So don't be afraid if something doesn't work the first time to fiddle around with it a little bit. See if you can make it work. All right, and I'll click OK. Fingers crossed. It worked, yay! It may be that you need to be signed in, I'm not sure. Or maybe I just missed something when I did it before.
Tora, when you put the you put name in the title, you put name in brackets because that's the row or the column on the sheet that you were.
Yeah, and so I did not write those brackets. So so when I go down here and I click add image, see these little plus signs right here? That allows me to select from the list of columns, right? And so the name, I deleted the image too that's there. And then select from the column, there's the photo, and select from the column.
Thank you.
So one thing when Tora and I were talking about this earlier, that if you upload a photo into your Google photo drive, it gives you a link to a photo there. I don't know if any of you have ever done that before. You can get it from Google, from your Google Photos, but it doesn't really work, right, Tora,
Right.
in this. So,
Right.
and even if it did work, like what happens is over time, those links can change, and also like people delete the picture out of that folder and then it's gone or whatever. So really your best bet for getting a photo onto a map is to get it up into your content and use that link to get it on, because then it's in your content, it's controlled, it's shared, it's stable, and it's all in the same program. So it's a little bit of an extra step to get it in there, but it's the best way to do it to make sure that the photo is always there.
Yeah.
And the same, like if you're going to add a video, that link, that should be up through YouTube. And that should be okay because YouTube tends to be pretty stable that way.
Yep, exactly.